Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sarah Isa. Today I'm going to present about ADHD students at schools. Firstly, I will introduce the topic to you. Then I will share a story about one of the ADHD students. After that, I will share my thesis statement. I will explain ADHD students' difficulties at schools and how teachers may help them to perform better academically, increase their self-worth, and help them to go over their social struggles. At the end, I will recap my presentation. Your powerful brain function is unique, and nobody has one like it. Everybody's brain has different amazing thoughts that shaping their life's journey, even if these brains look like the same. Our brains can understand things in many ways, just like having different hobbies and interests. One of these ways called ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, which refers to the people who have developmentally inappropriate levels of controlling attention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. It's a cluster of difficulties that involve the self-management system of the brain. It's not about are you listening when someone is talking to you, and it's not simply about the behavior. It has to do with being able to get organized and get started. It has to do with being able to regulate your alertness, and that means you have to relax when you need to, and pay attention when you need to. It has to do with memory, which means doing something with your hands while thinking about something else at the same time. So let's ask ourselves, do we have to take ADHD seriously? Is it true that ADHD can affect the brain if it did not get the right support? And what about the teachers? Do they know enough about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder? We will find the answer to these questions together while I am telling you a story about Ahmed's early schooling years, which were filled with unpredictable, vulnerable, and highly complex attempts at going further at school. Ahmed is an 8-year-old boy who goes to school with the best intentions but struggles hard to succeed. Attention deficit is his biggest problem because his brain is like an internet browser. Ahmed gets distracted so easily. It happens even when he tries his hardest to focus. Just like the tiniest thing can get him off track. To him, it feels like his brain is broken. His grades are terrible. And some teachers are beginning to think that he is a lost case. He is restless in group work. He likes to keep his hands busy all the time. Sometimes he tries to control himself from interrupting others, but he failed. Unfortunately, it seems to him that he can't learn from his mistakes. I am with the idea of taking ADHD students' cases at primary schools much more seriously around the world, because setting structured classrooms rules will help the ADHD child to pay attention, which will help him or her to perform better academically. Encouraging their strengths and capabilities will increase their self-worth, and providing directed social activities in the classroom will facilitate the way they communicate with others. When life goes wrong with ADHD students, like Ahmed, and if the ADHD students do not get effective help in classrooms, they will develop their impairments in achieving their goals and in academic performance. Just like when the classroom's instructions require them to stay focused on academic tasks, stay still, and engage quietly in group work, which unfortunately is impossible to do. This means that teachers have to take attention deficit hyperactivity disorder seriously by having structured classroom rules, avoiding unfair expectations from ADHD students, try to have his or her attention, repeat the steps of a new task, provide opportunities and independent studies for them. These techniques can allow ADHD students to discuss about several ideas with their classmates, and their academic performance will increase. Teachers should be aware of their responses to their students, especially ADHD students, because if teachers produce negative interaction with ADHD students, they will develop a negative view and comments about themselves. In addition to that, ADHD students have lower self-esteem compared to their normal peers. As a result, teachers are required to have a multi-component program for ADHD students to encourage their strengths and interests by giving them feedback, focus on their efforts and tasks rather than outcomes, and get them involved in groups to let them learn controlling themselves. ADHD students face difficulties and complications in their social lives. ADHD students have difficulty with peer relationships due to having limited self-awareness of their effects on others. Teachers should provide directed social activities in the classroom to facilitate the way they communicate with their peers, involving sending and receiving messages between the teachers and his or her students to help ADHD students feel comfortable in their learning environment, as well as provide structured learning opportunities to let ADHD students use their social skills. Treating ADHD students equally with their normal peers and respecting them will help them to go over their social struggles. A positive relationship between ADHD students and their teachers will help them to gain greater responsibility. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder students may find it difficult to complete tasks, following instructions or directions, and having difficulty remaining seated or sitting still. ADHD students can do many things, and they just do their things differently from how others do. To recap, seeing and understanding ADHD differently might help its victims to not get negative consequences. Us, the future teachers, we need to educate ourselves about children's disorders to help them healing. Thank you for listening.